Hey, it's Garden Not Silent. This is Rodney G. Welcome back. Start your Monday off with Rodney G. Oh my gosh, that sounds like a billboard. Well, I got to collect some more pennies before we start building billboards. However, it's a beautiful day in Arizona. Beautiful day in Arizona. Finally, we're down to 86 degrees. That's like get your jacket weather almost here. And it feels like it's taken forever to get here. And we even had some rain several weeks ago. So everything is looking great. Plants are looking better. Life is good in Arizona. And speaking of life being good, well, I left you off with getting the phone call from the transplant team. And since there was a donor who was not a cadaver donor, we had a little time to get more adjusted and to get prepared, which also gave me time to kind of freak out. You know, big changes were about to happen. So I was trying to process all that information and figure out what in the heck is this all going to look like? Because it really becomes pretty fast once that you get the call and you have to start doing all the things that you learned in the orientation, like being prepared, finally having all your items in a row. Yeah, now it comes full head of steam. So with that being said, we finally got the call, and my friend and at the time his wife made the trip down to Arizona to San Diego, and she had to get prepared because she was actually going to have surgery first because we did something called a pair exchange kidney donation. And if you're not familiar with those, I'll actually also mention that earlier. I think in the first season I mentioned that. So because she was too small to give me her kidney, even though she was a match, I was able to get the transplant done because she was willing to basically give her kidney to somebody else who was in need of it. So in return, because she was giving her kidney to someone else, I received a kidney from a donor that was in a database, which we matched up. So that was the kind of like the short gist of what that is. And it just allowed for, we think about like 20 years ago, I don't even know if they had this available. So it allowed for, simply me to get a kidney. Where we think about it years back, if they didn't have the program, it would have been, okay, can't get a kidney because she's too small. Well, you sit and wait and find somebody else to get you a kidney that matches perfectly for you. And then you would remain on the list longer. And I already gave statistics out that I believe I said 11 to 12 people die per day waiting for a kidney on the transplant list, according to UNOS, which is pretty staggering if you think about it. But 2025, science and research has advanced this, and this is where I'm at. I will be getting a kidney. So, like I said, they were already in town. I was basically getting prepared uh, to go to the hospital. But before I had time, even then, to kind of spend time with them beforehand in San Diego, just making sure everything else was in order regards to the transplant, receiving phone calls, making sure all the paperwork is all completed. The team will call you just to make sure that you're prepared, kind of like those pre-prep things to do. Make sure you're not doing this, make sure you're not doing that. And quite frankly, I can't remember all the do's and don'ts because everything was just really flying in my brain at the time because it can be overwhelming because it's a change, right? You're going from something that I know dialysis, I know the pills that I take, I know my doctor's appointment, and we're going to something that is different, and it just kind of shakes you up. And it always kind of just takes a while to get your bearings back in check. So this was where I was at. I pretty much was just waiting until it was my time. They give you a time to be at the hospital. And you're at the hospital really early, like most surgeries. You're there hours early before the actual transplant because you have to go through all the pre-op stuff and you have to meet with the surgeons. And it's just a big team of people that's going to be there. And it's hours and hours of surgery that happen. And then also, that's not even taking in account that there may be some some challenges that the doctor may go through during the surgery too, which could, make more hours attached to that surgery. So we're holding tight. We're almost there. We're getting there. It's a little shorter. I know I've been saying, oh, they're going to be shorter, and they end up being like 10 minutes long or 15 minutes 15 minutes long or so. So this one's going to be shorter. I'm just kind of building that up for you, really. And I'm just doing my best to make it like one of those Hallmark TV shows. So I'm just trying to get it built up so you could be expecting the best thing ever. And realistically, it sort of becomes a TV show a little bit, but you will find out. You'll find out all the nuances to this transplant. So get prepared. I'm not going to say I'm going to tell you on Friday because, things between now and Friday pops up and I had to go and explain it and talk about my reflections. And I have more reflections than a vampire. However, well, that's just me. Thank you for being here. Scarred Not Silent. And I will see you soon. Bye. Cue the music. I don't know why I said that. I was just being silly.